that for the recipe for later. Welcome back to K-Ro's Crazy Kitchen. Today we are going to make Cricket Ghirardelli chocolate brownies. Because who doesn't want crickets with their chocolate brownies? It's extra protein. So here we've got some Ghirardelli baking chocolate chips. Yum yum. We've got our golden ticket. Oh, I mean like our Ghirardelli baking chocolate bar. And we've got our other ingredients, which we'll go through later. But for now, we're going to start making our chocolate syrup, I guess you could call it. So we're going to take this whole bar of Ghirardelli chocolate. Once I figure out how to open it, I certainly make it difficult to open it so that's pristine. So I guess we'll just be carnage savage about it. Yep, so here we've got our Ghirardelli. We'll break that up into smaller pieces. And we're going to get a stick of unsalted butter. And we're going to put both of these things in a saucepan on the oven, the stovetop. So they recommend cutting it up into smaller pieces as you go. Increase surface area, decrease melting time, stuff like that. I don't know whether you turn it on before or after, but we're just going to do it after I put everything in. So here's cutting it up so that it can melt quicker. We don't want to make it all burnt, the chocolate. That would be unfortunate. Here, we're cutting up all of our butter, unsalted butter. And next, we've got the chocolate, the most important thing in this. So I'm just going to break it into convenient-sized pieces so that it's not quite in line with their breaks, but that's okay. They'll forgive me. Okay. Just toss this in the trash pile and on my dog, apparently. I promise it's not animal abuse. She didn't even notice. Okay, and then we're gonna turn it on a little less than medium because I tend to overcook things. So we're just gonna let that begin and take the trash off the dog and off the ground, apparently. We'll just start stirring solid pieces until they start melting. Super exciting. Oh, it's starting to melt. That's exciting. It's working. Okay, I think it worked. Yeah, so here's our chocolate. I'm not going to spill it. Here, I'll just see, look. Wow, look at that. It's chocolate. And butter, mainly butter and chocolate. So we're just gonna let that cool because you don't want to add that to your eggs and your other ingredients and then cook them because we don't want to cook our eggs. So we're gonna put our brown sugar in our nifty clear glass container so that we can at least simulate a cooking show with what little equipment I have. Brown sugar, which is right here. Also, this will be at 350 degrees, I believe. Yes, 350 degrees. So I'm going to actually set that now so it can preheat. Put a cup of this in this container here. And we're going to pack it. We're going to make some more messes. You're not cooking or baking unless you make a mess. That's my motto. Don't worry, that will be famous in a little while. Remember that, Annie. Oops, yep, see? I'm just perfect at this. You just pack it really hard. Just keep going until it's all filled. We're getting there. Getting there. See? Almost. Just a little bit more. Yeah, so I was going to do a combination of grasshopper and crickets and compare the two. However, my grasshoppers, being several months old now in the container, are all old and stale, and they smell like pinned insects, and you don't want to eat pinned insects, you want to eat preserved insects and fresh insects, so those are done for, so I'll have to get a new container at some point from Amazon. But for now, we have fresh cricket powder that is unopened, so this will be fresh, and that's what we're going to use today. So we've got brown sugar, and now we've got our flour. I've got, how much flour did I put in? I put 2/3 cup of flour in here, I believe. I'll check on that. And then we're going to have 2 eggs, some baking powder, chocolate chips, of course, some salt, and some vanilla. So the next step will be to put the vanilla and our brown sugar that we've packed into the chocolate syrup mix. 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And it is baking powder, I checked, so I don't mix it up. Because I've had things that have been mixed up before. It's not usually the tastiest. So here, I do my little scrapey thing at the edge. Make sure it's flat. There we go. So 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder into the little bowl. And now for the salt. This will be 1/2 teaspoon of salt. My favorite condiment ever, or spice, however you want to call it. So I've got a 1/2 teaspoon there. And at this point, we can add our chocolate chips. It says 1/3 of a cup of chocolate chips, but I honestly don't think that's enough. So I'm thinking maybe the whole bag. That looks about 1/3 of a cup, right? So what I'm going to do now is mix up my smaller dry ingredients. Mix up the salt, the baking powder, and the flour. Make sure it's all homogeneous throughout the mixture. Okay, and then I will add some chocolate chips. There we go. I withheld from using the whole thing to be proud of me. Am I supposed to put this in now? I think I'm supposed to put it in later, but that's okay. It said dry ingredients, and chocolate chips are dry.
It'd be hard to fold the eggs in.
Yeah, I realized that once I put it in, but you know, figured might as well go big or go home. I'm already home, so might as well go big. Okay. Yeah, surprisingly, you're supposed to put it at the end. Okay. So at the very least, I can put in my vanilla and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. You can use 2 of these, and then 2 large eggs. Well, first I'm going to put my eggs in a bowl so as not to accidentally get shell inside. Since I'm already going to have insects, we don't need any more crunch. So funny. At least in my own head. Okay, so we've got our eggs. We've got 2 eggs. Check. And now we're gonna go put our vanilla and our eggs into the pan of sauce, chocolate butter, I'm gonna call it from now on because that's basically what it is. So I'm gonna use 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and by the way, this is Mexican vanilla. I got it in Cancun. And so I've got a half teaspoon here, so I'm gonna use this twice. Math. So here we're gonna go over here again. So first we're going to put in the eggs. That's easiest. So I'm gonna put this in the sink because I'll wash it later. And then I'm gonna put 2 of these half teaspoons in. And we're gonna put a little bit more than 1, so we'll put a little less the next time. Okay, there we go. That's all taken care of. And now we mix it up. So now it's chocolate butter and eggs with a pinch of vanilla. Oh, whoops. I was supposed to put the brown sugar before the eggs. No wonder why the... This is why you read through your recipe ahead of time and then have it planned out. Because I just put the eggs in before I was supposed to put the brown sugar in. I mixed it up. So that's why the texture, consistency is wrong. So I'm just going to put that there. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Okay. It's like a sandcastle. Please don't ruin me. Please don't be ruined. Don't poison my roommate. Point. So, with eggs, if you eat them uncooked, you can get salmonella really, really easily. So I don't recommend it. But interestingly, insects as a protein source, there have been no zoonotic diseases, which basically means diseases that go from animal to human that have been discovered so far or identified. Now, of course, in science, you never say 100% because there's always the risk of something coming up. But at this point, there's no known diseases that you can get from insects. So it makes this protein source really sustainable and really possibly healthier if you have a situation where you can't cook or you're surrounded, perhaps, let's say your immune system's lowered because of malnutrition, like in developing countries. There's a lot less chance of getting sick from eating an insect. Actually, right now, we don't know of any way to get sick by eating insects than by eating chicken, because who knows if it's cooked all the way, or eggs. So yeah, insects are really safe, except if you are allergic to seafood, because then there's a danger with having an allergic reaction. That's the one caveat. I don't recommend trying this if you are allergic to seafood because of the chitin exoskeleton. Basically, their outer shell is chitinous, made out of chitin, which is the same type of protein that seafood, their shells are made out of. So you're basically eating the same compound that causes that allergic reaction. But other than that, they're super healthy and super good for you. In fact, they've got all the essential amino acids. They've got protein levels, they're 69% protein, which for tilapia, which I love and I advertise all the time, that's only 36%. So it really goes to show you bang for the buck. So we're gonna let that sit for a moment now that that's all mixed up. And I think we are about ready to mix everything together. So let me get a bigger spoon to mix everything. I guess I could use this spoon. So I'm going to lower that. There we go. You don't need to see my face. You see it all the time. Oh, you're going to see my dog. Isn't she so pretty? I love her so much. She's going to be 16 tomorrow, by the way. 16. That is just crazy. But yet, she has the energy of a puppy. I can take her outside, and 30 minutes later, she's like, Mom, I want to go outside. I want to run. So, I've gotten lots of exercise this winter so far, which is good. It's very good. In addition, insects are a lot more sustainable than a lot of other protein sources. Now, other protein sources are getting a lot more sustainable with research. So there are cows now that are less methane producing and that require less food. In fact, livestock consume 87% of their food that they eat is not consumable by humans. So that's good. They do take up space and they do require more water. So if we can increase our protein consumption of insects, at the very least to replace some of the other protein, then that would be really good. But developing countries definitely can benefit from this because they already have native species that they eat. For example, in the Peruvian rainforest, they eat a grub, which is a beetle larva, or a young beetle, basically. And they eat those, but they just forage them. And so if they eventually can learn how to farm them, it can be a much more stable food source, basically. Did not want honey to eat that. Okay, and so now I'm just gonna mix everything up. Technically, you're supposed to put the chocolate chips in later, but you know, I'm in for innovating. That's what I'm gonna call it. Innovation. Seeing if steps out of line still result in the same result. Same result. Yeah, that works. That's fine. If you would like to see other things being made, or you want to see better quality, feel free to donate and support that. Otherwise, you're stuck with this. Sorry. At some point, I'll be doing a recipe with algae. I've got some other plans as well. The new Payless down the street has some really good fish products. So I will probably do some future cooking shows on those. And some more tilapia again, because you can never get enough of tilapia. Next time, I'll have some more grasshoppers, because I'll have ordered some more. But for now, this is what we're going to do. Wow, that is, man, can you see just how chocolatey that is? That is pure heart health right there. Okay, so now I forgot to spray my pan, so I'm going to do that really, really quickly. So I'm going to do the side that is not crickets first. So here, this is, so be ready. I warn anybody that cannot stand seeing messes or messes to look away now, please. This is your disclaimer, the only one that you'll get. This will be ugly. Yeah, actually, I have a company, a startup in Cambodia, and it's called Aweko Foods. And we started this startup to help with some of the communities there. We have some people that we know that we started off with, and they were really struggling. They didn't have very many job options. So in Cambodia, crickets and insects in general are the thing to eat. They're super popular. And so we started helping with getting them set up with a cricket farm. And in the future, I would like to export, but for now, they're selling locally. But if you want to support that as well, you'd be helping someone with their livelihood. which I'm sure she would be very grateful for. Or if you want more information on cricket farming or crickets or insects in general, let me know. And we're going to put about... Okay, so first, let me comment on this cricket powder. I don't know if you can see how finely powdered that is, but whoever powdered this did a superb job. There's really no texture at all. There's no major flakes at all. In fact, let me see if I can open up my other container. It doesn't have a very strong smell. Now, of course, if you left it open for a while, for a couple weeks, it would eventually get that smell, but we'll eat it. So you can sort of see the texture of this. This was the grasshopper that we had ground up several months ago for the show. And it's basically, it looks almost like red pepper flakes. And it just shows how much better they did at grinding than I did. They must have a really good grinder. And so we're going to put this powder in. Okay. I don't want to over inundate it. I want to test how it does. Okay. So here we've got our cricket powder. It basically just looks like, I don't even know what that would look like. What do you think that looks like? Cinnamon? Allspice? Something like that. So we're just putting in our spiciness here. So the recipe also said that you could add walnuts for crunch. Now I was going to add the grasshoppers, the whole ones, but since they're stale, we won't do that. But if you wanted to have some crunch and didn't want walnuts, you could always use the whole insects as well. They sell whole crickets you can include. However, I think my crickets are the best. So I've perfected for my research how to roast them. And so they actually smell nutty once they're done, and they're like the perfect brownness. So if you want to try some good roasted cricket, I can hook you up. They're really good, actually, especially fresh. It's disastrous. So I would say that this is probably the best I've done. I probably won't get a full tin full. We'll see. Yeah, so we're going to test flavor and texture and smell just to see any effects. If this goes well, you can always increase the amount as well. What I would like to do in the future is to test a different amount for each tin, but I didn't feel like doing that today. I want to make sure I'm successful at making brownies in general first. I've only made them by mixes, so this is the first time for me. So we shall see how successful we are. Okay, so now we're going to put this in. Normally you do it for 16 minutes or so, but since it's in the muffin pan, it's going to be a lot. It's probably going to be less, so we're just going to pop that in for, let's say, 10 for now. Okay, so here is a brownie. It's a little misshapen and broken up. It was a little challenging to get it out, but they are doable, as this one shows. So now we're going to taste test. So this is brownie with crickets flour. Well, if you like chocolate, or dark chocolate, or Ghirardelli, or chocolate in general, you will love these. You can't even notice any crickets. I could probably put the whole bag of crickets in. You wouldn't notice. The chocolate just overcomes it. So chocolate's the answer for everything, I guess. Good stuff. This is really good. It's so rich, though.